wait for everybody, we won't have time to hear people. So let me say hello and welcome and all that stuff like Lady Frost taught us. My name is Pam Lawrence. I'm one of the coordinators of Brent Friends of the Earth. Welcome to our meeting about air quality. I think it may stray into other grounds in terms of the election being near, but the purpose of this meeting is about air quality. And we arranged this meeting because of our concerns about the damage that air pollution is doing to so many people's health and wanting to know what we can do about it. You know, they'll give an average, like it might shorten, on average, people's lives by 6 months, and you think that's not much. But on the other hand, things don't work out on average. Some people die, 25 years younger than they might have, and others don't. So, and we know that it has an effect. Originally we were having a smaller number of speakers, but because we're near to the election, we were persuaded that that was not fair, that we needed to have speakers from the different political parties to make it fair because we're near to the general election. Not general election. The great, it began with G.
You know something we don't.
The great London Assembly election. So I've got my phone on as well. So let me. Who's got this phone?
It's me. It's me.
Oh, shall we shame Martin?
It's a lady.
It's the Green Party phone.
It's not the Green Party.
Now, Pete over here is going to do some filming, and Ian is going to take photographs. But if anybody's not happy with being filmed, or they say something that they don't want filmed, Pete can take it out, or maybe try and sit out of the way. Well, is there anybody that's not happy with filming or with being photographed? You think it might not show your best side?
I won't be able to film your best side for me.
Okay, so
Or any
let me
side,
introduce speakers just as we go along. Start from over here. This is Johanna Junaid, and she is an officer from Brent. It's got a long title. Brent Council Pollution and Internal Safety Team. And next to her is Jennifer, I've forgotten the surname, Jennifer Barrett. Jennifer Barrett, also from that team, manager of that team. Next to her is Joel Davidson, who is the Conservative candidate for the Greater London Assembly for the area. Next to Joel is Jaffa Hassan, who is the Green Party candidate for the London Assembly. And next to Jaffa is Navin Shah, who is the Labour Party candidate and the sitting member. And next to him is Councillor Lee Southwood, who is the lead councillor in Brent for the environment. And then here we have Ollie Hayes, who is one of the lead campaigners at Friends of the Earth headquarters in terms of air quality. So just some levels of some areas in London have levels of nitrogen dioxide, known as NO2, nearly 4 times the legal limit. And the health risks of this are similar to smoking, with children, the elderly, and those with heart or breathing problems being at the most risk. In 2014, it was estimated that about 7 in 10 deaths in the area were at least partly caused by air pollution. And this is mainly, but not exclusively, down to emissions from vehicles, especially diesel vehicles, including buses and taxis. I feel very sorry for some people who bought diesel cars thinking they were cleaner in terms of climate change and then found to do other things. So apparently more illness and death is caused by vehicle emissions than by road traffic accidents. Some good initiatives have been put in place, but the problem is far from being solved. And the biggest problem areas in Brent, not surprisingly, are the North Circular, areas around the North Circular, and Kilburn High Road. I've asked our speakers if they would, number one, explain their role in trying to achieve good air to breathe. Breathing's quite important. 2, describing what the current difficulties are. 3, to say the impact on people's health and well-being. And 4, to say what they think we, the public, could be doing about it. What I'd like to suggest is that all the speakers speak, and we don't ask questions at that point, except for if there's anything that isn't clear, then I think, fair enough, say, didn't understand that. But otherwise, let's have questions at the end of everybody speaking, because otherwise we'll get into long discussions and people time speaking will be squeezed. We also, I know, have other people present who are knowledgeable and I'm sure will contribute from the floor, plus the rest of us who aren't so knowledgeable necessarily, but want to know what we can do about it. At the back are where our leaflets and things are, the various sign-up sheets, if you'd like to be involved in some sort of campaigning. We, as you know, Brent Friends of the Earth, we don't have a campaign running about this at the moment, but if enough people are interested, we could work together to get something going, hopefully as a result of what our speakers are going to suggest. What I want to do is start sort of nationally and then come down a bit. So we've got Dawn Butler wasn't able to come because of our commitments in Parliament. So our friend Joan over here, Joan, this is your cue. Do you want to come to the front? Do you want to sit or stand? Joan is going to. Dawn Butler has sent us a letter.
Dawn Butler.
Yes. For the purposes of the next 5 minutes, this is a stand-in for Dawn.
Right. Okay. So this is a letter from Dawn Butler, Labour MP for Brent Central, and this is what she says. Please accept my apologies for being unable to attend the air quality debate due to be held later today. I hope that the following letter will provide an understanding of my positions on the questions you passed on to me. 1. Explaining my role in trying to achieve good air to breathe. As the Member of Parliament for Brent Central, I am committed to building a cleaner, greener Brent and indeed the UK as a whole. I will always be a champion for our environment, and that means taking action in Parliament and voting for laws that do just that. But I think it has to be more than that. It is also about looking at what we can each do locally to deliver that vision of a cleaner, greener Brent. I believe that if everyone said, what can I do to help the environment, such as walking or cycling rather than driving, we'd be halfway there. Government has a major role to play in creating the legislative framework, but we can all make a big difference in very small ways. That is why, as soon as I was elected in May 2015, I set up the Brent Green Cabinet to really look at those things we can do individually, locally, to improve our environment. The Brent Green Cabinet brings together community groups from across Brent and is chaired by your very own Brent Friends of the Earth member, Councillor Leah More widely, in Parliament, I work with the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Sustainable and Renewable Energy as their Vice Chair. This is a cross-party group which aims to encourage debate and discussion around the policy barriers to developing sustainable energy technologies, renewables and energy efficiency, all of which mean using fewer fossil fuels, and that means, as a result, we breathe cleaner air. I welcome that last year, as part of the UN, we passed the groundbreaking Sustainable Development Goals in Paris. This includes a commitment to increase substantially the share of renewable energy in the global energy mix by 2030. As policymakers, we have a duty to hold the government to account and to keep them on track in delivering on these pledges. That is why earlier this year, I took part in the International Parliamentary Project on Sustainability, Energy and Development with the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association in conjunction with the United Nations Development Programme and the British High Commission in India. This was aimed at bringing together MPs from across the Commonwealth along with academics and industry leaders to learn and share experiences on energy and sustainable development, with a focus on how parliamentarians can deliver sustainable energy targets through effective oversight and scrutiny in their respective countries. I believe strongly that if we are to tackle this issue, there has to be international cooperation. I witnessed firsthand the awful air quality and smog in New Delhi, India. Whilst we have to take local action, we will never tackle the issue without convincing developing countries like India of the merits of renewables. I heard directly from Indian parliamentarians the challenges of moving away from fossil fuels given their reliance on them, and how they felt unable to rely on the renewable energy infrastructure as it currently exists.
Excuse me, I'm trying to listen, and if you keep talking, I'll start listening.
If we do not support India in developing this infrastructure, then by 2035, India's carbon emissions alone will account for the global permitted total. We cannot allow that to become the reality. 2. Describing what the current difficulties are. I believe it is a question of political priorities. This government promised to be the greenest government ever, but they have failed and have massively cut support for the environment. They slashed flood defence funding, attempted to sell off the nation's forests, and have cut support for renewable energy, specifically slashing feed-in tariffs, which encourage the take-up of solar power. The European Commission is currently taking action against the UK for non-compliance on nitrogen oxide emissions, and the government has also been taken to court by environmental group Client Earth. The explosion of nitrogen oxide is largely a consequence of the growth of diesel vehicles as a result of a favourable tax regime. We have to seriously look at the use of diesel cars as they emit more particulates than petrol engines. There has been a real lack of action in London, specifically on air quality. London is one of the most polluted cities on earth, and indeed many areas breached their annual pollution limits just 1 week into 2016. Under EU rules, sites are allowed to breach hourly limits of 200 micrograms of nitrogen oxide per cubic metre of air 18 times in a year. But as of Friday the 8th of January, Putney High Street, Kensington and Chelsea and Oxford Street all broke those limits. Sadiq Khan has outlined action on air quality as one of his top priorities if elected Mayor of London. He has pledged to restore London's air quality to legal and safe levels with action to make travel greener and to pedestrianise Oxford Street. 3. How is it impacting on people's health and well-being? Research by the University of British Columbia estimates that poor air quality kills 5.5 million people prematurely across the world each and every year. More than half of these deaths occur in China and India. In the UK, air pollution is linked to 40,000 premature deaths a year, according to the Royal College of Physicians. In London, it is roughly 4,000 a year. In India, I witnessed how tackling energy poverty in developing countries is central to improving air quality. I visited a sustainable energy project in Nimrana, a town in Rajasthan, where rural farming communities are creating cleaner energy through biogas from cow manure. Prior to this, they had secured energy through the burning of firewood and fertilisers, which is damaging in terms of air quality. Where there is energy poverty, there is greater and less efficient energy use. This simple change also had a profound impact on quality of life and well-being, with women not having to spend 3 hours every day collecting firewood, and with children able to spend more time at school. Tackling energy poverty has huge implications for air quality and indeed for life quality. I also chaired a committee hearing exploring the potential of small-scale energy solutions like biogas in improving our global environment. This looked at the role of parliamentarians in broadening out these projects, the potential for scaling up, financing for sustainable and clean energy, and how we create policy frameworks to enable sustainable energy access. In terms of Brent, I am concerned that we have some of the most polluted roads in Europe, including the North Circular Road and 40 Lane, which I worry is where schools, Wickham Primary and Ark Academy are situated. Our children each and every day are breathing polluted air, and the air you breathe determines the length and quality of life that you will have. 4. What we think the public could be doing about it. I believe the public needs to hold politicians to account and to the promises they make on tackling air quality, climate change and more. This is central to keeping this issue on the political agenda. We know that when incomes are strained, the environment often becomes an afterthought. In the longer term, we need to build support for putting cleaner vehicles on the roads, either electric, hybrid or hydrogen powered. And more immediately in London, we need to look at enforcing or expanding low emission zones. The Conservative Mayor of London, Boris Johnson, has delayed the expansion of ultra-low emission zones until 2020. We have an opportunity to make a real impact on air quality on the 5th of May 2016 by voting for Sadiq Khan. If Sadiq becomes the next Mayor of London, he has promised to look at bringing forward the ultra-low emission zones and expanding them along major arterial routes or a wider section of central London. Warm regards, Dawn Butler.
Thank you very much, Joan Stokes. Beautifully read.